Hello, Collector Steven here with a question for you. Are these two figures posed the same? Yes? Well, you just might be surprised. They're not. Whether it's fixing your figures or talking about effect parts, it's all about quality of life with Steven's Toy Tips. Alright, collectors, today I am bringing you the first video in my series of action figure photography. This one is on how to pose your action figures. It'll be a simple video, one for beginners, a part one if you will, or maybe some refreshers for those who are seasoned veterans. We always got to go back to the basics. To start off, we'll take a look at 3 basic skills and concepts to help master neutral poses or maybe some simple action poses, something everyone needs help with, at least when they start out. At any rate, let's get this video started. But before we do that, I'd like to thank my patrons for this month over on Patreon. This video is this month's Patron's Pick, which my patrons on Patreon voted to see. Thanks for the fun video choice. I really do like these kinds of videos, so maybe we'll do more of those in the future. If you'd like to help in next month's video pick, head on over today and get ready to vote. Now, let's keep the video rolling. Tip number 1, striking the power pose. One of the most essential tools to improve your display and up your photography game is the power pose, and it's something that not a lot of collectors may realize that there's a bit of an art form to it. You see, the East and the West tend to view these poses a bit differently. In the West, there seems to be a focus on having the chest be prominent while striking a neutral pose, as seen here with some shots of Superman and, of course, that image of Captain America. However, in the East, you'll see a lot of power poses with the waist thrusted forwards, with the feet and chest often aligning to the back. And sometimes, of course, you'll have artists and animators borrowing from each other, such as the iconic scene where Goku goes Super Saiyan 3 for the first time in the Dragon Ball Z anime. As you can clearly see, it looks like the chest is very prominent, but at the same time, the waist is sticking out and his feet are going backwards. For a good example of these two poses used together, let's take a look at the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie poster. Vegeta has a Western stance while Goku has an Eastern stance. Again, they're not exclusive to the East or the West, it's just that the way that they are posed seems to be popular in those two regions. Here are 2 examples for you with figures here. Goku striking the Western stance, Ultraman the East. A bit exaggerated here for example, and you don't have to do it to these extremes, but when you pose your figures, try having them in these fun poses and focus on those features. Now, let's go ahead and swap them. It also helps to look up references to some poses and trying to copy them. Tip number 2, contrapposto. This is super important to remember because so many people get this wrong, including people who take promotional pictures for action figures. Contrapposto is an easy term and skill to get down because not only can you see it in quality media, you do it. The definition is on your screen now, but let's go ahead and simplify that. Weight from the torso shifts with the lower half of your body, meaning left arm out in front, right leg out in front, and vice versa. Here are some examples. Absolutely master this because if you don't, your photos will look off. But if you do, they'll look completely natural. And like I said earlier, you do it daily. Or you probably do. I mean, there are things like gait issues and all that fun stuff. But anyway, if you're unsure about a neutral or action pose involving contrapposto, try it out yourself and see if it feels natural. If not, the pose is probably off. Tip number 3. Curves. Whenever you pose your figures, remember people will be looking at them for photos or on display. Humans naturally want to follow lines with their eyes, so always consider making it easy on the viewer or yourself to determine where the action is and to look all over the figure. Also, determine what might work best. When your figure is throwing a kick, is a pose as straight as an arrow the best one? Or maybe the character is doing a little bit of a crunch upwards. Try it yourself with your figures to add a little bit of flavor and some more action. Bonus tips 4 and 5. Bend the rules and experiment. Obviously, there are concepts to keep in mind for your posing, and sometimes breaking the rules might work for you. For example, let's take a look at Mr. Satan here spinning on my turntable, which I used in my Mr. Satan review. Right fist is out and right leg is out. That goes against contrapposto, but it looks good here. This is how bending the rules and breaking them can work in your advantage. Sometimes art doesn't follow all of what is set up by the masters. So, it works. Here are some other quick examples with Goku and Ultraman. Basic poses that can skirt by the rules and ideas, but still try them out and find your own groove. So that about brings us to the end of the first tips video. Hope you enjoyed it and found the info useful for your next few picks or your display. What tip do you think might be useful for you? Use the hashtag #FigureTip and let me know down below in the comments. This way, not only do I know which one you like the most, I know you watched the whole video. Alright, that's the end of this one. We'll save more tips for a future video in the series. This month, I'd like to thank the patrons Sorty Meeks at the silver tier and Saber Prime above the gold tier. Thank you so much to the other patrons as well for holding down the fort this month. Without you guys, some of these videos would not be possible. Now the end card with all the fun stuff to click on and some short URLs you can just drop in your web browser, so please be sure to check those out. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll catch ya in the next one.